When are we going to start that 2 to 4 years? Are we going to wait 6 months or a year and do, like I say, we just got a windfall of $300,000 of air quality money. And if we can't use that air quality money to help solve our fire issues and our dust control issues, that's what it takes is water. There's issues every day. What are you going to fill up a water truck with if you don't have water? I mean, it's to that point. Does it come down to you can't water your animals because you got to save the water for a possible fire? We're about that situation in this county. It's ridiculous. This is an urgency item. We need to move it forward. Time is of the essence.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Delbert.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I concur with a lot of Supervisor Pinch's comments. A few of my own to add in here. This valley and its purveyors within have embarked on, through the Inland Water Power Commission, the feasibility study on raising coyote. And as we heard Mr. White say, it's not a short timeline. It is a very long, tedious, and expensive process to get a water right and a project up and running anywhere in this state. We can thank our state and to a degree the feds as well, but mainly the state for that process and that expense. And the $47 an acre foot that Mr. White mentioned was for raw water with no delivery system. So you add in treated water, potable water, and a delivery system to a residential unit, and that price is substantially higher. So just something to keep in mind. But what is the price of the water when you don't have it? And what's that cost? And that cost, if you have livestock you can't water, and you have crops that are dying, you have a household with dry taps, the price can go up really quick because the alternative is cost prohibitive. The issue with Scout Lake, the only issue I have with Scout Lake is in your synopsis here, Mr. Sanford, you don't mention the Ukiah Valley, and you say to a lesser degree Redwood Valley. For this project to work in this area, what will that take? Is it possible? Because clearly 3,000 acre feet of water is a substantial amount of water when you consider there's only 8,000 for the entire Ukiah Valley already. To what degree can we utilize that water down here?
The key problem here and what makes it challenging is the distance of Scout Lake to Redwood Valley, and the cost of the pipeline that it would take. You're looking at a pipeline that could cost on the order of $10-12 million. Now, what would make it work is if you had another reservoir along the way. In other words, built, and there are some options in Upper Redwood Valley, and so basically to spread the cost of this conveyance structure, which would be fairly long, if you could plug in another storage facility along the way, it would make that cost much more attractive. Now, again, as part of the Phase 2 feasibility study, we'll take a closer look at exactly what are we talking about in terms of that pipeline cost. Supervisor Pinch has brought up a very good point, and I did not mention this about the Scout Lake project, but that it is gravity fed. Mm-hmm. And that's huge, because over time, at some point, even a very expensive pipeline becomes cheaper over the life of the project because it's gravity fed instead of being pumping. So I think certainly don't want to oversell the Scout Lake project, and at this point there's a few concerns about how do you get that water all the way from Scout Lake to Redwood Valley in a cost-effective manner. But that is part of the Phase 2 feasibility study to figure out, okay, this is what it would cost, this is what we could do to further lessen that cost, and this is what we can wind up with. But it's not a trivial matter.
And you stated the feasibility study would evaluate that.
That's correct.
And I'm fine with that, because for that to work, it's got to have a component down here. In terms of the college, though, to me, that one should be the next one that gets attention. We have to realize that given the environmental constraints and regulatory constraints that are placed on the jurisdictions in this state, putting another on-stream reservoir is going to be very difficult. Now, granted, this one, in our preliminary discussions with the resource agencies, is up high enough to where it's not that big of an issue. But to do something large like another Lake Mendocino is going to be impossible. So we have to look at a series of smaller reservoirs to make this system work. We just can't jump out there tomorrow and start the cats up. It's not that easy. It'd be nice. Probably be a lot quicker and cheaper and do no damage, but that's not the way it works. So if we look at these different reservoirs, and they may be these will be the beginning of them, and as we continue on, we may find other prospects. But I don't want to shut the door on this one, because I think this one warrants some other work, not necessarily, like I stated earlier, in terms of a consultant, but other work on staff and officials to work out some of these potential constraints and see where we can go, because that cost per acre foot is the lowest of them all. And it's 1,500 acre feet that would be a direct benefit to the Ukiah Valley and Redwood Valley. So that one, to me, is one I think we should continue to pursue. And final, Mr. Chairman, comments is, in terms of the Nice Reservoir,